Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Ray. So I'm going to be answering a question today that I got in the Lighthouse web app, which is where you'll find the 6-week Alchemy of Stress. And somebody had raised a question, or rather some awareness that had come in during week 6, realizing that any time she went towards something that would bring personal fulfillment, whether it was in the career or taking a holiday, the old pattern came back in where she lost her energy or found herself with a flare-up of symptoms. And she could see that there was a pattern, a link between choosing herself or choosing something that would bring joy and then not being able to have that for some reason. And that the underlying belief was, I don't get to have the things that I would like. These things aren't available to me. And as I was tuning into this, and this is what I do in one-to-one sessions, and if you've been to a live session, you'll recognize this. As I was tuning into this energy, I understood it to be very much about the second chakra. So this is the lower belly. For me, that's really about your personal expression, who you are uniquely, your essence, okay? And if you've experienced stress from a very early age, or anything that says you're not allowed to be you, you're not allowed to express who you are, you're not allowed to choose according to what it is you desire or what it is you feel called to, or what it is you need. This is very much how we start to suppress that very unique energy, that very unique expression of who you are. You know, it's your identity, it's your essence. And so I was tuning into that, and I could feel this energy in the second chakra. And again, this is going to be useful for the person, and I'll send you a little message so that you can watch this video. And again, this could be resonant for many people out there who find that any time that you go after something, it doesn't work out, or there's this sense of, and again, this was the energy that I was tuning into, is what's the point? You know, this isn't for me anyway. And really what this is about, and this is what also came up in the conversation in the message thread, was that at an early age, you learn that what it is you would like isn't available, or you receive messages that you're not allowed to have this isn't for us, we don't get to choose. Life is about work or having to sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your desires. And what happens is that this is a subconscious belief essentially that becomes very much anchored in your being, in your body. And again, it's in that suppression. You think about, you have all these ideas and creativity and dreams, and it's in the heart, it's in your mind, it's in your imagination, but you get told, no, this isn't for you. You don't get to choose. Instead, you have to focus on being useful. This particular instance, doing chores, being helpful around the house, doing homework, not following your desires and your dreams. What happens is this energy literally gets pushed down, suppressed. And a lot of that unique expression, your essence, your dreams, what it is that you would choose, what it is you would pursue, gets blocked. And then later on in life, you find that any time you go towards your dream, there's an energy that is lost, or there's a pattern where old symptoms or symptoms flare up, as is the case in this particular person. And really what's happening there is that you're losing your energy. And when you lose your energy, what's happening is you're losing your power. And the old dynamic where this started, this is the origin of stress that I talk about in the Alchemy of Stress. The old dynamic is that you've lost your power, usually to another person, or perhaps to a traumatic experience. But in this case, it seemed to be a dynamic with the parent. The parent says, no, this isn't for you, you need to do this. There's an expectation that you put yourself aside for the requirements or what somebody else will decide for you. And in that way, you lose your power. you lose your energy. And again, this is a pattern that if it continues to be reinforced, either in the messages that you receive, how you learn to suppress what you think, what you believe, what you need, what you desire, that expression, which is so important in creating the life and being able to be free to pursue whatever it is calling you in life. Okay? And as I was tuning in, not only was it about the second energy center, but also the throat chakra. And again, you can just take a moment to tune in if you feel that this resonates, because while we can understand this intellectually, I feel blocked or these things aren't working out, where are we feeling it in the body? And again, it's very much for me, as I'm tuning into this, an energy in the second chakra, the lower belly. This is really about how we are creative. This is all about creativity, the second chakra, and how that creativity is expressed uniquely through you by what you choose, what you feel for. And as we understand, this is what I feel for, this is your guide to life, as you learn to trust that and follow that. And this particular block is in the belief these things aren't available to me. I don't get to choose. I don't have the power. So what we're doing as this belief comes in, we're starting to take our power back. And we're bringing our awareness into that area of the body, understanding what's been suppressed, what's been held in, either in terms of creativity or in that expression of I want, I choose. These are very powerful affirmations we can use as we're tuning into this energy, this block, to liberate, to alchemize this block. I want, I choose, I decide, I can. You know, and I can feel this energy. This is very, I can feel very fizzy energy as I'm affirming this. Okay? So, again, it's about how we lose our power, perhaps to a belief, perhaps to something that's been projected onto us at an early age. How we've lost our power to decide and to choose if we're not given freedom to follow what we feel, to explore who we are uniquely. And in addition to that, you know, having lost power in some way, it's also understanding this is about innate worth. You know, you get to decide. Only you decide, only you determine your worth, what it is you get to choose in life. But first of all, we need to take our power back. And often it's from that family dynamic in some way. It doesn't have to be, but that's often where we start to lose our power in subtle ways, subconscious ways, sometimes in more obvious ways, tangible. So perhaps that resonates. And again, this is a process. Having been through 6 weeks, this person already understood that was a belief that was blocking her from living and experiencing things that would bring personal fulfillment. And the underlying belief or block was that, there's no point because I don't get to decide. That's not for me. As you uncover that block, that belief, that's where the alchemy happens, as we understand what's going on in the body, how everything is connected, the mind, beliefs, thoughts, how we feel about certain things, that feeling of powerlessness or the depletion of energy. Everything is connected. And that's where the magic happens. So for this person, I hope that was helpful. Again, I said I'd be answering questions on this channel for anybody who's in the 6-week Alchemy of Stress. And perhaps that resonated to you too. That's why I'm sharing it here as well, because it's no doubt helpful to understand why you might be experiencing this block and how to access that and how to heal that, so you get to live the life that's meant for you, and you can stop suppressing that very unique and natural creative energy, that creative expression that is uniquely you. Okay, As always, I'd love to hear your feedback, your comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next post.